So in this video, I'm going to show you how to change this to a black and white. I'm also going to show you how to change it to a sepia or sepia tone. That's the brown vintage look photograph. And then I'm going to go to a reduced color, sort of a vintage look. First thing, I'm in my background layer. I'm going to go ahead. Let me just expand that a little. No, I can't. All right, let me go ahead and Control J or edit layer, duplicate layer. So we're going to just have a copy of it. Now, some of you have noticed you can do adjustments over here. But if you do adjustments over here, you do have to make sure you are aware that these don't happen directly to the picture. They open up an adjustment layer where you're able to see it in this manner. But it doesn't actually happen to the picture. So don't get confused between those two. I'm going to do it directly to the copied layer so you don't have that added adjustment layer right now. So you can kind of see what I'm working on. So again, image adjustments, you're going to go to your levels first. And if you want to, you can do the normal edit. You can make the values pop, go from there. But what you're going to do basically first is you're going to go to your hue and saturation for black and white. So we're at black and white photographs. In black and white, you go to hue saturation. You're going to take your saturation slider and slide it all the way down. You can see in this image, it doesn't do it any justice in this area. It actually looks pretty fake. Some of my highlights on that photo were really blown out, so you do want to be aware of that. At this stage, I'm going to go back to my levels, and I'm going to go ahead. I might see what auto has to give for me. I might undo it with Control Z and manually place that in. This would not be my best. It's really kind of funky what it's doing in here. This one I would probably abandon as a black and white unless I was willing to invest a lot more time into it. But again, biggest thing when you turn it to a black and white, please adjust your levels once again. Okay, so that's my black and white. Now I'm going to go ahead, click, B and W, that's shorthand for black and white for those of you that don't know. And I'm going to go ahead and hide that one because we're going to move on to the next level. I'm going to go back to my background. I'm going to Control J or layer, duplicate layer. I'm going to make another copy. This one's going to be our sepia tone. Okay? So when I go into my sepia tone, that's where you get that brown vintage sort of look. I'm going to go back into image adjustments, and that hue saturation slider is really important. But in this case, there's this little guy over here. This one is very different, so I definitely suggest you take a look at this. You're going to hit the Colorize button. And when I hit that Colorize button, you're going to see that if I slide the slider, I can get just about any color. Now, just because it's over the top of red doesn't mean that you're going to want to use that. In this case, I like this browner tone over on this side a little bit better. You can also work on saturating that color. Let me look. We might be better off over here. I may reduce the saturation just so that it has a hint of that brown tone. Notice in this case I'm around 22 for a hue. My saturation is down to about a 27. That just gives it a nice brown feel. And then I go back to image adjustment levels and I do the same thing. I want to pop my values to give it the best look possible so that I can get a really nice finished image. Okay? So that's an example again with sepia tone. I'm going to hide that guy. I'm going to show you the last one. The last one is a vintage tone. And you've got two ways of doing it. First way is by simply going to Image Adjustments, Hue Saturation. And you just reduce the saturation a bit. Okay, right now I'm at about a negative 57. It depends on each image. It depends on how vivid it is. So that's an example of reduced saturation. There we go. Reduce saturation. Now, there is one more way of doing it, and that would be by me taking a background copy. Again, I've got that original down there. I would go ahead and I would make this a black and white. And then there's one more guy right here. It's called opacity. Opacity is how solid something is. If it's got a little bit of peek through, if it's got a lot of peek through, when it's 100% opaque, I cannot peek through it at all. It's solid. It's like trying to look through a brick wall. But as I reduce this, I might have tinted windows right around here. I might be full glass, obviously over there. There's nothing. That's just a glass window. But you can see that I'm reducing the opacity and I'm giving it that sort of vintage look by putting that background copy of black and white over the top and then reducing the opacity. Okay? So, this one, it's kind of funny. This is the reduced saturation version. And this one is the background copy black and white. They look identical. But there are some images where you may find that you're going to want to control it in one of these two ways, and that's more preferable for you. So again, you were taught how to do black and white. You were taught how to do sepia or sepia toning. And you were taught about using reduced saturation for a vintage finish. Just some simple commands, mostly all up into your adjustment menu right on Photoshop. Just don't forget Control J those layers so that you're copying. You always have your background copy protected. Okay? And that is it.